Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. I hope you guys having an awesome and wonderful day. Today, we have a very special guest as the co-founder and the CEO of Viral Lunch, Casey Cuss. How you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you coming here, and I really appreciated me and the group. And thanks for taking our invitation. It really means a lot to us, man.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I really appreciate you having me on.
I just want a little bit introduction about Casey. For the people who are under the rock who doesn't know who's Casey, he's basically his CEO and founder of Viral Launch. He started in 2014 and he has roughly 70 to 75 employees. He's a bank of knowledge. He's the data man. He loves data, and I think that's what makes him very special, makes his tools very special. He knows a great deal about product launch and product research. He has one of the best tools and services in the industry. His company has managed many big accounts from Fortune 100. He has a podcast which is called Follow the Data, just like him. He's the data man. And also he has a YouTube channel, which is the Viral Launch. I'm really sorry for the long intro, but you have a great resume, and I really wanted to touch on those.
No worries. Thank you.
Man, if you tell us a little bit about yourself, of anything I missed, and actually you have a very great story that you started with. You came from very humble beginning, and if you share a little bit about that, I think it's really add a lot of value to the audience.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy. So you're talking kind of my story or how Viral Launch came to be a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay.
When you and your brother from Michigan.
Yeah. All right. I love it. So yeah, essentially growing up, we kind of moved around quite a bit because, my mom struggled to bring in much money. So we were constantly being evicted or had cars repossessed. It was a bit of a struggle. I've a brother in jail kind of thing. So we kind of had a rough growing up, if you will. I went to college, taught myself how to code, ended up dropping out. I was studying business, taught myself how to code, dropped out. And, I'm from Michigan. We currently live in Indianapolis. My brother and I, he's a couple years younger. He had saved up a bunch of money delivering pizzas so that he could start an Amazon business, actually. And we moved from Michigan to Indiana off of money he had saved up delivering pizzas. I had no money at the time, so he was paying for everything. He was paying, all our bills, paying our rent. My girlfriend at the time, she was, paying for things like groceries or just the essentials. And, I started Viral Launch with a friend. And part of the story is that in those initial days, we're working in the winter, and it's the winter when we start Viral Launch, and it was so cold in our apartment because we couldn't afford heat that I had to, I literally couldn't type. And so I had to search, how to type when it's cold outside. And, Google says cut holes in the end of socks. And it worked, actually. So yeah, literally part of the Viral Launch platform, some of that still exists today. I literally coded with socks on my hands because it was so cold in our apartment and we didn't have enough money to pay for it. And, now we have this 70-person company. I'm super thankful.
Hey man, this is why I really like your story, and I think you don't mention a lot in interviews. And I really wanted to bring it up because I think everyone who's starting a new business, they have a lot of struggles. People don't see. They only see the tip of the iceberg. They don't see what's the bottom of it. A big struggle. A lot of people really struggle every day. Even us, like Amazon sellers, me myself, I started from just working from a car wash, restaurants, gas station, pumping gas, and all this stuff. But people don't want to talk about their history. But I think it's very important to embrace it so you can appreciate the things that you have right now. So thank you so much for sharing it. And now I think it pays off very well. And one thing I really have a question every time I see is it about your ex-partner who just left you. You bite him out. I really feel sorry for him. It's like the Apple thing.
Yeah, no, I know. So the funny thing though, so we kept a good relationship, and he actually works at Viral Launch now.
Awesome. This is really awesome, man. And I would like to congratulate you on how you build a great culture in Viral Launch itself and how the customer service really works. I think it's one of the best, and what really makes you unique besides your tools and your services is the customer service. I've never seen a customer service like this, that within 4 hours they're able to reply back, and also when they finish replying they send back like, oh, is there anything else I can help you with? I was like, I don't know, order a pizza for me or something.
Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome. Thanks for the feedback. That's cool.
I appreciate it, man. All right, man, let's get to it right away. And I know your time is very valuable. First thing, which is the question every Amazon seller and their, I want to say with their mother, talk about the new launch strategy and hacks that are out there. I know there is a lot of like PPC, there's launch services, there's Facebook ManyChat, search, find and buy method. I just would like to take your take on it and what's working today.
Yeah, no. So I appreciate you asking. There's a lot of things working. A part of it is understanding what works best for you. And I think the best way to figure that out is testing. So first off, I think that PPC for a lot of people is the best way to drive ranking. You're going to be really building up a sustainable business. The problem with the launch model is that you basically say, I know what keywords I should be ranking for, and you invest a lot of money to achieve that ranking without really understanding how well you convert for that keyword, how competitive you may be against some of those top ranked products. So if you're just getting started and you only have a couple of reviews, going and ranking against these products that have crazy good sales history, they have high review quantities, it's going to be difficult to compete because you haven't really figured out your offer and you don't have the reviews to compete. So like the giveaway model, we'll talk about a couple of those, definitely still works for driving ranking. But what you really need to be paying attention to is not just driving ranking, but really driving sales. And that's why I think PPC is such a great method of doing that, because basically you're in a sense buying all this data of what keywords convert well for me, what keywords do not, and you can really double down on the words that are performing well. And you don't have any of these situations where you spend $1,000 or more getting ranking for a keyword that ultimately you don't convert well for, and you kind of just wasted that $1,000. And now you're back to having to run PPC, or you're going to have to do another launch for another keyword. So our strategy, we first start off with PPC. And one thing that's different about ranking on Amazon with PPC than what a lot of people think, one of the most common misconceptions is that the old strategy was, okay, let's say I'm selling a fish oil and I want to get ranking for that keyword fish oil. Well, what people would do is they would just run super unprofitably for that fish oil keyword, and like just so that they could drive as many sales as possible, because we all know that sales help to drive ranking. But PPC can also negatively impact your keyword ranking, where if you're running too inefficiently, so maybe your ACoS is 200% just really high, that can actually hurt your ranking, and sometimes we'll see ranking fall because of that. So you have to be very strategic about driving the most efficient sales possible, so that you can achieve ranking. And our focus is basically on ranking for as many keywords as possible. We're focused generally initially on low volume and mid volume keywords that we think that we're going to convert well for, because we have a competitive offer, and we end up ranking for so many keywords that it allows us to rank for our highest volume keyword just from that strategy. So that's PPC. I think that everyone should get started there. Some people, they want to move faster. Some people, their cost per click is just inhibitive, and it prohibits them from like really being able to run efficiently, or it may just be too expensive. For whatever reason, you also may want to run a promotion. Well, the best way to run a promotion, in my opinion, or what we're seeing, is basically running through ManyChat. So first off, we don't run this method. We don't have a tool to do this, because I do think that this method is against Amazon's terms of service. However, I'm not seeing anybody get in trouble for it, and I'm seeing it work very well. And that strategy is essentially running a rebate through a ManyChat funnel, where they click on an ad, you get them into a ManyChat flow, and you offer them the product for free, but they have to go buy it at full price, and then you reimburse them. And so there's some really good strategies out there. Tom Wang talks about a strategy. And anyways, search, find, buy is very powerful for ranking. Coupling that with these rebates, very powerful. But promotions at big discounts, like they still work for ranking. Right now on Viral Launch, we're doing 65% off promotions, and they're working well. So there's a number of strategies. Some people have like really gamified the whole coupon process, because traffic without a sale still drives ranking. So, you asked about hacks. One of the hacks that is working right now is people will basically go create a bunch of different coupon levels. So, this coupon set is 25% off. This coupon set is 75% off, and so forth. I create a bunch of these, and then they play a game with, maybe their audience or a Facebook audience or whatever it may be, where some lucky people will get, a big discount, whereas other people will not get a big discount. Maybe you'll get 10% off or something like that. But you don't know what the discount is until you go and add the product to your cart and then try to apply that coupon. And that's where you'll see the discount percentage. And so what you're getting people to do essentially is, and if you add search find buy to the front or some URL, you're getting all these people to go add your product to cart from that keyword, and that is helping to boost your ranking. And Amazon knows these are real people with real accounts doing seemingly real activity, and it's working pretty well. So that's a little hack for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And actually, I agree with you. I think PPC is the best method because you really target the related keywords that really has a high relevancy for your product itself, that's the main important thing. It's relevancy and conversion for your product. That's what makes you rank. At the same time, I agree with you on the Facebook, on the ManyChat method. I think it's against term of service, especially when you're giving paying back through PayPal and all this stuff. I think it's a little bit shady, and I think it's short-lived, even if it's working right now. The method that you spoke about, Dan, is actually one of the things I was going to ask about. Is basically driving a lot of traffic to your listing with different kind of discounts, coupon discounts. And actually, I see a lot of people are using them right now, and they're getting a good ranking. I think it's a really cool hack. But I really think it's all. It goes down to your product selection and making sure that you have a good product and you're not competing in a very saturated market that you cannot handle. And the beautiful tool that you have, which is the bank manager and the keyword manager, I think you can really hone down on a very good keywords that has high potential with high relevancy that other people are not targeting, and really boost your ranking very well. And thank you so much for that hack. And my question was about deep discounts, which is you answered already. Yes, they still work. And I think you limit your stuff to 65%, which is, I thought before was 90%, but I think 65% is very safe. The other thing I was going to talk about is the super URLs. Do they still work? Super URLs, two-step URL, and all this stuff. Do they still work? Do they still have the same power as before?
Yeah, they definitely still work. We're using the same URL that we've been using since March of 2015. And we share at this point, it's the brand URL. Fun fact for you. We actually sold that URL for $10,000 to a customer back in 2015 because, no one had a two-step URL at the time. I believe this was the first two-step URL, and, this guy, they're doing tens of millions of dollars, and he wanted to know it. So anyways, we're still using that URL. It's working well. I do think that search find buy works better. Again, we don't do search find buy through our platform because I do think it's manipulative to tell a customer what to do. Amazon's eyes are definitely on viral launch, and so we need to make sure that we're abiding by Amazon's terms of service. So again, I'm seeing search find buy work really well, but we don't feel comfortable doing it. Two-step URLs do work. We honestly, over the last couple of months, typically we test different URLs. Over the last couple of months, we haven't really been doing much testing because we're really focused on PPC, but we do know that the brand URL still works.
That's really awesome. And thank you so much for the insight. I have actually questions, a little bit technical, since you guys have a lot of data about launches. It's about keyword ranking. So for example, let's say I am ranking for coffee mug, and I go ahead and own down on coffee mug. I bid on it and I start ranking for coffee mug. What happens to the other long tail keywords? So for example, yellow coffee mug big, or whatever it is. Do they also get a boost from that because you're boosting the coffee mug, which is the short tail keyword, and the other long tail ones do they improve in ranking as well or not?
Yeah, so I think it was approximately a month or two ago, Amazon made an algorithm update, and we're still really trying to hone in on that. But traditionally, and I mean, we're still seeing it. I think Amazon is doing some more word associations internally. So basically, coffee mug is very similar to coffee cup, and therefore, if you're ranking for coffee mug, that helps you to rank for coffee cup, even though you don't have it in the title. And I think that they're more heavily weighting their kind of keyword clusters than they used to. relative to maybe listing content. So traditionally, if I had big coffee, if I had the keyword big in my title, then ranking for coffee mug and getting those sales was going to help me to drive ranking for big coffee mug. And so basically what it comes down to is your listing optimization is super, super important from an SEO perspective. And I know, there's some people that think writing a listing is all about selling the customer, and that's important. But if you are on page 30 when someone searches big coffee mug, you're not going to sell them no matter how good, your listing copy is. And so playing the Amazon game, ranking well is very important. And so setting your listing up so that it can rank well, but also convert customers is very important. So anyways, if you are driving sales through the keyword coffee mug and you have those keywords in your title, then yes, you'll definitely see ranking. And kind of like I said in our PPC strategy, a lot of times we won't end up targeting the main keyword because the cost per click on fish oil is like super expensive. But maybe there's some more long tail keywords or mid volume keywords that aren't nearly as expensive. And so we'll get ranking for those keywords. And because we're selling well across, this whole breadth of mid volume and low volume keywords, we end up getting ranking for some of those higher volume keywords without ever targeting it. So yes.
That's really, really awesome thing that you just shared with us. And actually, I've been testing it. I actually made only a PPC campaign only with viral launch keywords, with all the ones from high relevant, high potential, and with the long tail keywords. And I started ranking for the very low bid keywords. And I found out that actually my overall sales really boosted a lot. I was selling this one product, actually, I just launched, and I was selling around 30, 40 units and jumped to 55 units for the past 7 days. And that's just because I'm really targeting the small ones, which I wasn't targeting in the beginning because I thought, hey, come on, this is a really long tail keyword. What is it? One sale in a week or 3 days, but actually really helps. And I'm checking my viral launch account and I see my rankings moving up a lot for every keyword, which is, I didn't know what was happening. So
yes, that's awesome. One question real quick. How are you targeting those longer tail keywords?
I'm doing it as exact match.
Okay.
So I'm making one campaign and I'm making 3 ad groups, and each ad group I'm dedicating one for from 1,000 to 700, and then one from 700 to 300, from 300 to 100, and then I'm seeing how they react, each one of them.
Yeah.
And I found out the ones from 1,000 to 700 high potential, I found them they're reacting very well for me.
Oh wow, awesome. Yeah. And 1,000 to 700, that's the opportunity score.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Wow, that's awesome.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
So I love testing PPC, and I think with this brand, I got into a very bad niche, which is supplement, which is I don't recommend anybody. And I launched it only with PPC, and I spent over now almost $28,000 in PPC. But I spent only $2,000-3,000 from my own money. With the rest was only profit.
Yeah.
But I really saw big significant ranking, and also it's holding my positions, because that's very important. Yeah. You see, a lot of people launch a product and it's like, I'm ranked number 3 or 5, and then I fall off. Yeah, because you're not converting very well after the launch, which is, I think it's very key to look at your unit session percentage as well for overall conversion, and start with listing optimization for sure. I actually have a question, which is, I have my own belief in it, which is, I think for a lot of beginners, they get overwhelmed when they hear, oh, I have to use external traffic, I have to use Facebook ads, I have to Google ads, I have to use ManyChat. Everyone's coming up with a new marketing idea just to attract people. And what's your opinion on that? Is it a must, or you can do without it?
Yeah. So I do appreciate your perspective in that, quote unquote gurus, if you will, or just sellers in general, are kind of always looking for that exciting new hack or thing that you don't know about that is really going to help your business, because that makes me look smart. And, literally, some of these big gurus, they're teaching one thing, and in private conversations, they say, yeah, I don't actually believe in, building out your Shopify store. That's just what everybody wants me to talk about. Or that, but there's such, on stage or whatever, they're such big proponents of this tactic, but then they're like, you got to do this. This is the next thing, blah, blah, blah. But then, they literally personally tell you, yeah, I don't really do that. I don't believe in that. So I do think that there's this bias to like, if something isn't working, then, it's like, instead of trying to fix something that's broken, they go try the next thing. So I definitely think that's happening. I do think that in some markets, PPC is very difficult. And I do know that, the Facebook ads to ManyChat flow is working really well for driving ranking. So in this particular example, I think that it is working very well. And I think that it's helpful for some people. And let's say people, don't want to be, become Amazon ad experts, and maybe they already know Facebook, so that's what they're comfortable with. Or you can use a service to do these kind of rebates. I think people will take that path. But I do think that PPC for a lot of people is the best strategy.
I agree with you 100%. I think that's why I created this YouTube channel. I've been in the business for almost 4 to 5 years, and is actually our model of the whole YouTube channel and the Facebook group is basically based on transparency, integrity, and honesty. Because I've seen a lot of people, a lot of gurus out there, they're just mentioning things just to sell tickets, which is I'm really not a big fan of. And thank you so much for your perspective. And I think it all starts with a good product research. If you go into a really micro niches, I think you wouldn't need all that. Later on, when you start becoming expert and you start really having multiple products in your arsenal, I think you can start, doing Facebook ads, Google, ManyChat, and start expanding, which is really cool. The other thing, which is a very simple question, the keyword search volume accuracy within viral launch. I know I always believe in it, and I think it's accurate myself, but a lot of people saying it's not, because you used to have an API access. Now you don't have it anymore from Amazon. So what's your thought? And please give me the answer for that.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. And it's absolutely a fair question. So, we're one of the few teams, I think, in the space that have an actual data science team. We have 3 data scientists in-house. They sit right across the row from me every day. So, we do have a team that is like very smart and works very hard. And one cool thing that we were fortunate about is getting like a full year of data when it comes to search volume, which allowed us to build some really good estimates moving forward. The one thing, when people question us about the accuracy, the one thing that I would encourage everyone to do, and I'm glad that this ended up coming out so that people can really kind of judge us in an unbiased manner, is Amazon released brand analytics, I think in January or February or something like that. So yeah, I would encourage you, go look at our search volume estimates, go compare it to like brand analytics. There's some companies that, their keyword tool, search volume hasn't changed since December, and they're not telling anybody. And so it's really off. If you go compare it to brand analytics or bestsellers, it's really off. But, we spend a lot of time making sure that we're, as accurate as we possibly can. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for answering that. I really believe the same thing, because you guys had access to the API for a long time, which makes you very advanced and have enough data to be able to replicate or estimate the search volume as accurate as possible. You're not going to get 100%, but you're going to get at least 90 to 95% accuracy, which is really, really important. And thank you so much for answering that. I know you freak me out a lot of times when I check my own product with the viral launch Chrome extension and I see my sales. It freaks me out. It's like only difference of $500 maybe. Jeez. And I'll be like, what's going on here? Are they spying on me?
That's awesome.
That's really cool. The other thing, which is there's some new news that happened, that people are talking about description and if it's indexed. I know before the description wasn't really indexed. I know the bullet point, I know the title, which is the most important, and the back end and the subject matter, and there's few areas that's really indexed. But what's your opinion on description? Have you seen anything significant that really says, yes, description is indexed?
So I've heard the same thing. We're able to fit all our keywords in before we get to the description. So we're able to fit keywords in the title, the subject matter, the backend search terms, and the bullet points before we get to the description. So indexation in the description hasn't been a big deal for us. And my honest answer is that we haven't tested it recently. So I hear a lot of people talking about it, people that I trust. So I would imagine that it is, but this isn't something that we have data on right now.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate your honesty. And I agree with you. I think you have enough space in the title and in your bullet point in the back end to fit all the keyword that you need. And I think description, it's mainly there for your mission, for your talking about a little bit about your brand, and a little bit of benefits and stuff like that. But hey, just a question came up here.
Yeah, of course. One thing that I do want to test is, so Amazon just put out a Prime Day, like, hey, get ready for Prime Day kind of page. And they said that your description should be under 500 characters. So I'm curious to go see, is there a weighted factor of if it's over 500 characters, maybe you get penalized a little bit when it comes to ranking. So I thought that was interesting.
I think we'll find out. It's only 48 hours Prime Day this time. So hopefully we didn't affect the whole overall sales. And I know the other news is about the title that they said in the beginning that they need to limit it to 50 character, but then they changed their minds like, no, we make it 200 because we don't want to get millions of listings de-indexed for no reason.
I'm still curious about that, because in their style guides, the style guides by category, they're still saying that you need to limit your title in beauty, for example, to 50 characters. But that's just unrealistic if you also have to include the brand. Like, imagine having a brand with 15 characters, but you sell testosterone booster. You'll literally be able to say testosterone booster in your brand. You won't be able to say pill count. You won't be able to say, like, is it vegan? Is it a capsule? Like, so anyways, I'm still curious. I know Amazon took down that message, but I'm curious what happens on July 22nd, if anything does, even though they've pulled that message.
I think we should wait and see. And I really think this is the same thing happens over and over. And I think people who are going to get penalized, people who are stuffing their titles, who just saying things over things for no reason. I just would like to know a little bit briefly about your product research criteria for beginners, and how vital is product research to you?
Yeah, so product research is super important. I mean, I still continue to run into sellers who, they start selling Wi-Fi routers because they know more and more people are getting on the internet. And it's like, it's good to make sure that there's demand, but you really have to understand the competition. And so when you're doing your product research is like the most important decision that you're going to make, because if you're just getting started as a seller and you get into a space that's super competitive, and in order to really make any money, you need a crazy budget, you might say, wow, I tried to Amazon, it's just not for me. Meanwhile, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are selling a lot of money, and they're making, these awesome businesses out of it. So it's definitely possible. You just need to make sure that you get off on the right foot. And so with that, in terms of product research criteria, like you talked about, I'm a huge fan of what we're calling micro niches, or finding these, smaller markets where, your sales volume is going to be 8,000 on the low end to 25,000 on the high end. And, there's plenty of products out there that do 50,000, that do 100,000, that even do $1 million a month. The problem with those products, there's a lot of demand. Competition traditionally or typically is just very, very high. And so, that's where all the really savvy sellers are, maybe the black hat sellers. It's just going to be very difficult for you to actually compete, and you're going to need a big budget. And so, my recommendation, and we have customers. I have a customer on one of their accounts. They do like 40 million in a year, and basically all they do is they just source every opportunity. And so they go and they'll find all these opportunities where a lot of them are lower hanging fruit, or like smaller volume markets, but they'll get into them because they know there's no competition and it's just easy money for them. And so, yeah, my recommendation is to go find these markets where they're not as competitive. So what does that look like in terms of process and requirements? So like I said, somewhere around $8,000 to $25,000 in top line revenue. Next up is kind of looking at review quantities. So I do think that reviews are important to like actually driving sales and getting traction, especially relative to everybody else, because reviews are the customer's only indicator of popularity. And so anyways, basically trying to make sure that there's maybe under 200 reviews or under 150. Ideally, there's some products in there that have under 50 reviews that are selling well, showing that maybe the customer is not super sensitive to review quantities in that market. I think that's important. One thing that I think more people need to do, and I think it's starting to become more popular, is really doing your keyword research before you source a product. I've also run into a lot of sellers who maybe they have what seems like a decent product, but they don't know what keywords to actually sell the product on. They don't know what keywords customers are searching where they're definitely going to buy that item, where maybe they're selling like coffee and matcha tea combined. And it's like, well, it's not really coffee, but it's not matcha tea. So like people, what am I going to rank for? No one is searching coffee, matcha tea. And now your sales potential is much lower. So really doing your keyword research, I think part of that is going and analyzing competitors and seeing, okay, of my top competitors, what keywords are they ranking for? What keywords are they not ranking for? So you start to have this strategy around, here are the keywords I'm going to target in PPC. Here are the keywords I'm going to rank for where I can really drive sales. That's going to help you to make sure that this really is as good of an opportunity as you think it is.
I agree with you. I think for beginners, really micro niches are very important, and I think the keyword research has to be done before that. That's why even when I did a little tutorial, 1 hour and 40 minutes about Viral Launch, I really had to make sure that, hey, for beginners, make sure that you have a product from 8,000 to 15,000. I didn't go to 20,000 because a lot of people that don't have this budget. Big budget to start with, and also they don't consider the cash flow issues that comes with it, because you can come in any niche that you find is really big opportunity, but you're gonna, as you said, you're gonna have cash flow issues, you're gonna have hijacks, you're gonna have review issues, you're gonna have an eye on you. And those big sellers, they have a big budget behind them to back them up. So micro niches are very good. And also then I always tell them, need to find 3 to 5 keywords that associate to your product, to make sure that later on when you launch your product, you target those keywords that have good volume with low competition, to be able to have a successful launch and easy way later on. One of my clients, we did the same thing. We actually went after really micro niche, a product, and I shared that with the group. I didn't share the product, but I shared the results. With 0 review, we just differentiated the product, which I think is a very important aspect. If you don't have reviews, is basically we were selling from 20 to 25 units a day with no reviews, just differentiation. Why? The niche was so easy, and there's a lot of people, they don't have a good listing optimized. They're not optimized their listing. The images are bad. They didn't target the emotions, because I believe you're not selling a product, you're selling emotions. So you need to make sure you hit all those points, and we're able to make it happen. I really appreciate your input. Thank you so much. The other thing, which is basically we only have few questions. We have few minutes left. What's your advice for beginners who just started? Do you think Amazon's dead? Do you think Amazon's going to be dominant in the next 5 years? Or anything you would like to share with beginners, especially beginners?
So for beginners, I definitely want a couple of things. I think it's really important to really do your research and make sure that you're not, I do see some sellers that get frustrated with the keyword or product research process, and they say, well, shoot, I'm just going to jump into something and hopefully it works, or, they'll find some reason why they just want to jump in because they're impatient. And I understand that product research can be intimidating when you first get started. There's plenty of resources out there for you to learn. And, it's much better to wait an extra month than it is to go blow your $5,000 in savings on your first product that has a high propensity for, not having success, if you will. Secondly, I do think that once you have a product, it is important to just jump in, because I also see a lot of people that are, watching YouTube videos for a year before they even get started. And, they're listening to everything. They're maybe even going to conferences, but they're not like actually getting started. So getting started is super important. You may fail, but you're going to learn a lot through that process. So those first 2 tips are almost, counterintuitive, if you will, but it's really important that you do your research, but at the end of the day, you have to make a jump, because you're not going to sell anything doing research. So I think that's important. I do think that there's still a lot of opportunity on Amazon. I do think that you need to be prepared to If you're not getting into the right micro niches, I do think that you need to be prepared to spend money on things like PPC, spend money on getting actual good photography, spending money on a good product and having some good packaging, and actually investing in, your strategy around getting reviews. So you have to invest more, both time and financially, but I still think that it's an opportunity. I honestly, I think Amazon is our generation's biggest opportunity for wealth creation. I've just seen so many successes where people come from, being a dishwasher to selling millions of dollars on Amazon, and it's just incredible. With that said, it is getting more difficult, and I think it's going to continue to get more difficult. I think big brands are focusing on Amazon more, and I think that third-party sellers are getting more aggressive and more savvy about what's going on, and they're getting greedier about having success. So I think the earlier you get in, the earlier you can establish yourself, the earlier you can take over a market and kind of protect that landscape.
Very, very great answers and great insight. And I thought that product research is very easy. You can find a product in 60 seconds, according to YouTube.
Yeah.
Is that true? I see people like 60 seconds, you can have a $10,000 product.
Yeah.
I really think this process, even when I'm saying those numbers to you, is actually took us 2 months just to be able to find a good product and validate it and making sure everything is right, because we really, really, really pay attention to the product research method. And you need to make sure that you're really give it enough time and thought before you jump in. And I think it's very important to take action and really jump in. And do not do this test products with 50 units, 20 units and see what happens, basically validating your product to another competitor who's going to take the opportunity and who's going to launch the product with enough units in hand. And I agree with you on the opportunity. I think Amazon is a huge opportunity. And I think now with coming AI and Alexa and everything with voice recognition, I think is going to be really great opportunity for people who capitalize on keywords and capitalize on their listing. What's your thought on, I have only my last 2 questions and then we should be done. What about the other marketplaces, which is we hear a big jump now in Walmart that they have 1-day delivery. They're trying to dominate eBay and Jet. And what's your thought?
Yeah. So Walmart is something that we've been looking at quite a bit recently. I think that, so Walmart says, I think this is in the US, they do 14% the volume that Amazon does. So like they are growing, but they, in terms of total e-commerce in the US, Walmart represents like 4 or 5%. I think it's 4-something% of all e-com sales, while Amazon is somewhere between 40 and 50%, 35 and 50%, depending on who you ask. So anyways, it's so much larger. I will say when it comes to Walmart, the opportunity is that there are definitely markets where there just isn't even a product. So for example, this isn't a real example, but if you go search Axe shampoo or some types of products, Walmart won't even have an option available on their store, or they won't have one that's available with 2-day shipping. And so there's plenty of these arbitrage opportunities for sellers to go and start, diving into Walmart. With that said, you do need to pay attention to opportunity costs. And so if for each hour you're spending building a Walmart business, that's, less money. Like, you make $10 for every hour you spend building a Walmart business versus $100 for every hour you spend building an Amazon business. So I think there's a lot of growth potential on Walmart. I just think that the majority of sales and the model is set up so well for Amazon sellers to be successful. The other thing with Walmart is you have to, pretty much for the most part, you have to already be selling on Amazon and doing somewhere around 100K a year in order to get approved. And it can take a couple of months. So there are services like Deliver with 2 Rs that can help you with the fulfillment side. But anyways, I still think that Amazon is by far the best opportunity and where you should be spending your time. If you are a wizard at something like Facebook ads or driving outside traffic, then I think that maybe you should give your Shopify store a go. It's just like, Amazon just drives, millions of people onto their platform in the form of keywords, and like that's where the sales are. So I'm still very bullish on Amazon, and that's pretty much it at this point.
I couldn't agree with you more. I really believe Amazon is the platform, and I think other platforms are a little bit behind in a sense of infrastructure on their delivery system, on their traffic, and I think they're making it harder for other sellers to join their platform. Even when they need sellers, they're making it a very tedious process of 2 months. And I know some people here that really tried to get into Amazon, and it took them maybe 2 weeks and they were frustrated. So imagine just getting into Walmart and you need to wait 2 months and you have to have big sales. Last but not least is basically what's new with Viral Launch, what's coming up, any new service or tools. I know you have a PPC management, and I heard a little bird told me that you have maybe a PPC tool coming up. So please, if you can elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm curious who the bird is, but on July 17th, we are, so under a month now, we are launching our PPC tool. The focus is a couple, obviously building in some automations, but it's really helping you to run your Amazon strategy. So we're not a company that thinks that you can completely automate PPC, or you can automate PPC, but you're not going to see the best results. And so basically we have, we give you strategy, or you can use your own strategy and you can automate that strategy essentially. And we help you focus on organic rankings and organic sales with PPC or profitability, depending on what you're focused on. So yeah, coming out in less than a month.
Really, really awesome. And I'm really looking forward to it. July 17th is basically one day after Prime Day. So that's the Viral Launch Prime Day too.
There you go.
I'm actually done with my questions, but I really thought it would be really awesome if you guys, it's not my place to say that, if you guys have a report or that you can find the best related keyword that generating the most sales for existing sellers. Like we know that PPC will be able to give you the keywords that drive some sales, but what about the ones that come organic? If we're able to know those keywords, it will be really awesome. I know there's some services out there, but what are the restrictions on why we're not able to do that for regular tools?
So the best indicator, and maybe I'm understanding correctly, the best indicator of, organic traffic for a keyword is probably search volume and where that product is ranking for. So if that product is ranking, number one for a keyword that has 50,000 searches a month, assumedly they're getting some sales for that keyword. So I don't know if you've checked out our competitor intelligence tool.
Yes.
Okay. So what's the difference between competitor intelligence and what you're imagining?
No, that's why I'm really little bit not really seeing the difference. Like I see when you have the competitors, you will find all other competitors, what are the keywords and everything. And that's what I'm really confused between the competitor intelligence and also between finding the other keywords that other people are being indexed for other products. So that's what I really wanted a little bit of clarification from you.
Yeah. So essentially, let's say you sell fish oil, top seller is Dr. Tobias, or let's say you're selling a product and you're like, wow, this guy, his BSR is so low, like he's really killing it, but like where's he getting these sales? That's where you can plug them into competitor intelligence, and we'll show you two things. So generally sales come from either organic results or paid results, right? And so obviously, like if they have a brand or whatever, you can see that. But anyways, running competitor intelligence will show you, here's the keywords. You can, filter it down by keywords that they're ranking in the top 10 for that have over 1,000 searches. So it'll show you those keywords where theoretically they're getting organic traffic because they're ranking and their search volume there. But then secondly, you can also say, show me all the keywords that they're advertising in the top, 20 positions on. So that should be kind of the second set of, here are the keywords that they're running ads on that makes this, or where they're also driving sales, if that makes sense. And next week we have a developer getting started that will allow you to basically plug in a number of competitors, and you can see them at the same time, and you'll be able to see, okay, this competitor is ranking for 80% of the keywords in the top 10 or whatever. So
that's exactly what I was going after, because I know competitor intelligence will be able to give you all the data on your competitors. And actually, one of your competitors' tool is basically I just plug in all the ASINs and I'll find all the keywords, the index for, and I'll be able to use them in a different campaign as well and add them to my backend. This is my last question. Casey, I really appreciate everything that you have done. I appreciate you coming here. And for those, I really want to appreciate your generosity with your time and really accepting our invitation. At the same time, for those who are watching us, we actually have 15% coupon for all Viral Launch product research tools. If you want to get it, it will be linked below. If you have anything else that people can reach out to you, which is your website and also your podcast, if anything you would like to share, it will be the moment.
Yeah, no, I mean, the best way to get a hold of me is probably through my personal Instagram. Other than that, I get a lot of Facebook messages and a lot of emails. So yeah, if you ever want to, check me out or message me personally, Instagram is the best place.
That's the data, man. Hey, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it so much for your time, man.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it.